what if we proved the devil? For many, the devil is the embodiment of true evil, a terrifying and ancient, ever-present force existing in the shadows of humanity, orchestrating all the terrible things that have happened and ever will happen. But what if this malevolent being wasn't just the stuff of stories, but instead a real-world accepted entity? This is Unveiled, and today we're answering the extraordinary question, what if we proved the devil? Are you a fiend for facts? Are you constantly curious? Then why not subscribe to Unveiled for more clips like this one, and ring the bell for more fascinating content. Throughout theology, faith, and cultural history, the exact identity and intention of the devil is a complex and thorny issue, and various figures have assumed the title without necessarily deserving it. Take Hades, the lord of the underworld in ancient Greek mythology. He's usually presented as the worst of the worst, but he's only really there to watch over the souls of the dead and isn't an explicitly evil figure. In fact, according to some representations, the devil himself wasn't actually evil at first, but his evilness set in when he was cast out of heaven as a fallen angel after disagreements with God. Now he mainly serves to tempt humanity into making selfish, dishonest, and generally bad decisions, which from some perspectives means that the devil actually exists so that humankind can remain pure by resisting his schemes. Many interpret the devil's first appearance in the Bible as when he takes the form of a serpent to convince Eve to eat the apple from the tree of knowledge, which she does, turning humankind into a race of sinners all the way up until the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. At other points, the devil goes by Satan, a title originally given to the ruler of hell, otherwise known as the Archangel of Death, Samael, in Jewish texts. But in the 3,000 years since the Old Testament was first written, the devil has morphed many, many times, from a figure more simply in charge of punishing those who give in to sinful temptation to the ultimate personification of evil itself. So given that there are so many conflicting ideas about who or what he is and why he even exists, how could the devil ever be explicitly proven? Well, if he placed a type, then he's actually far more likely to just plain reveal himself than, say, God would be. After all, making himself known to potential sinners or appearing at times of extreme hardship is kind of his thing. But if he did suddenly show, then it could also adversely reaffirm the faith that millions of people have in God as well. With proof of the ultimate evil, the belief that there's also a supreme good would naturally strengthen. That said, proof that the devil exists might also be seen by some as the final confirmation that God doesn't, or at least that God isn't supreme, isn't all-powerful and all-forgiving, but can in fact be challenged. This is otherwise known as the problem of evil. Regardless, if the devil, as well as hell, was shown beyond doubt, back on plain old planet Earth, there'd be mass hysteria. In amongst the existential crises that millions of people would likely be experiencing after confirmation of a higher power, the terrible threat of eternal damnation and endless torture would now be confirmed, leaving people to decipher exactly what that means for their own lives, and placing all new urgent meaning on defining the parameters of precisely what sends you to hell and what doesn't. We'd see huge ethical questions debated as a matter of fact, but with widespread disagreement on what those facts are, seeing as the meaning of the devil would still rely on interpretation. The confusion and chaos could quickly trigger a major crime wave, with people throwing caution to the wind, convinced that for one reason or another the devil will target them anyway. Of course, if the devil's appearance also confirms the existence of an overriding God, then there'd be no major cause for concern and humanity could still make it through the pearly gates. Elsewhere, the devil in real life could have a severe impact on law, order, and justice all over the world, with even convicted criminals now able to blame the actual devil in a bid to claim they're not accountable for their actions. Already, people have used this defense with some degree of success. Take the infamous "The Devil Made Me Do It" murder case in 1981, where Arnie Cheyenne Johnson killed his landlord, blamed demonic possession, was found guilty of first-degree manslaughter but not murder, and served a shortened sentence of 5 years in prison. Johnson's controversial case obviously played out without categorical evidence that the devil exists. But if Satan really stood among us, we'd likely see lots more crimes justified as the devil's work, and a probable collapse of the criminal justice system as lawyers scramble to find a way to prove whether or not a criminal really was influenced by the fallen deity who now definitely is real. And it's not as though we could simply call the devil to the stand to testify, given that he's characterized, among other things, as persuasive, manipulative, and untrustworthy. And so, with the devil at our door and hell on our doorstep, perhaps there'd be only one solution. We'd need to somehow eliminate Satan, and in so doing stop all bad things from ever happening again. It'd be a tall order, but with the devil out in the open, it'd no longer feel like such a massive leap to actually go to war with him. United by the ultimate and common enemies, the world's militaries could stage a global effort to rid humanity of its greatest and most dangerous villain. Could he ever be defeated, though? And could our armies ever match his? It's hard to believe that anything, even an arsenal of nuclear weapons, could kill the devil outright. More likely, we'd wind up eradicating ourselves in the crossfire, probably as part of our opponent's cunning plan. Having inspired continent-wide battlefields of bloodshed and violence, we could also assume that the now confirmed devil would bring with him plenty of other dangerous demons and nightmarish monsters, including vampires. They're pop culture powerhouses nowadays, but the vampire myth can be traced as far back as the story of Lilith, Adam's first wife according to some texts, who becomes the consort of Samael, aka Satan. So if the devil's real, then vampires probably are too, and who knows what else. Ouija boards are suddenly viable, and crucifixes are desperately weaponized as the end of days apparently draws near. If Satan truly showed himself, humanity would struggle to comprehend it at first, then struggle to adapt, and finally, possibly, fall into his trap. And that's what would happen if we proved the devil. What do you think? Is there anything we missed? Let us know in the comments, check out these other clips from Unveiled, and make sure you subscribe and ring the bell for our latest content.